Tim Butler from the U.S. here to announce that Season 2 of Gripsport Latino is here. Be sure to tune in. Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Gripsport Latino. Bienvenidos amigas y amigos a un nuevo episodio de Gripsport Latino. Hoy tenemos a nuestro primer entrevistado desde Canadá, Eric Roussin, primer canadiense en el Día Nacional de Canadá. Entonces, we are going to call Eric. So, we are calling Eric. Hey, Todd, how are you? We are waiting for Eric to connect. Good afternoon, Eric. How are you? Good to see you.
Good to see you.
Excellent. Welcome to another episode of Gripsport Latino. Today we have a very special guest, Eric Roussin from Canada, International Canada Day. How are you today, Eric?
Oh, you were aware of that? Okay, yeah, it is Canada Day.
Of course, you told me in the email. You told me it's going to be the National Canada Day, so I'm going to be in a good mood.
It is Canada Day, yeah. So I have some activities planned a little later today with the family, so it should be a fun day.
Excellent. Well, let's start with the interview. Let's start. Tell us about you, Eric, your personal introduction. We want to hear it from yourself. Who's Eric Roussin?
Well, I'm from Ottawa, Ontario. I've been here my whole life. I'm now 46 years old. I work for the federal government. I'm still a student, and I've always been interested in strength sports my whole life, basically. So I've been competing. I started off in terms of, I didn't do too many team sports or organized sports as a kid. I played ice hockey for a few years, and I was okay, but I wasn't the most coordinated kid, but I was always pretty strong. So in school, I knew I was good at arm wrestling, and they had like an annual tournament in high school, and I would win that every year. And then I found out that there were actually organized, like, arm wrestling was a real sport. So I ended up discovering that there was a tournament nearby, and I went and I spoke to the organizer, and then he invited me to come practice. So I've been arm wrestling since I was a teenager. And that was my first real passion. And then later I discovered Gripsport, and I've been doing Gripsport for many years now.
Excellent. I really like it, Eric. Tell us your height and your current body weight.
I'm 186 centimeters, and I currently weigh 90 kilo.
Really nice. Yeah. And tell me, Eric, so I want the audience to have a notion. Not everyone is like into Gripsport yet, but do you have any like powerlifting best lifts like squat, bench, and deadlift?
Yeah, nothing impressive. I mean, in my whole life, I've done a lot of arm wrestling and grip specific work, and then general bodybuilding, but the power lifts, I never really pushed them very high. I think the most I've ever bench pressed was I guess that would be 140 kilo. Deadlift, I didn't deadlift before getting into grip, so I've never really maxed out, but I'm guessing my best ever would have probably been a little over 200 kilo, not too much. Squat, I think I never really maxed out, but I think I would have been close to maybe 175, something like that. Yeah, nothing super impressive. I'm much stronger in the arm wrestling lift, so like rowing. I'm much stronger in those types of movements than anything pushing.
So, what's your best rowing? Your best row, like barbell row?
I've done a lot more one-handed bent over rows for arm wrestling. So there's a few years ago I trained up to be able to do 200 pounds, so 91 kilos for 10 reps, no straps, no putting it down. So that was I thought that was pretty good. My form, it's on YouTube. My form isn't the perfect in all 10 reps, but I thought I was happy with that.
Perfect. I really like it. Well, let's go to the important stuff. Which is your best thick bar lift, your best pinch, and your best gripper close?
So thick bar is definitely my specialty. It's always been my stronger category. So, and all my best lifts are in competition. I rarely my peak lifts have almost all been in contests. So Rolling Thunder and I think 3 contests I've lifted 110 kg.
Impressive.
Axel, I think 3 times as well. I got 195. So my magic number on the axle is 200. That's what I want to hit. I came close a few years ago, like I didn't quite lock it out. I think my hands are probably okay. I just need to get to work on my deadlift, and if I improve my deadlift, I'm pretty confident I can get 200 eventually.
Yeah.
Crusher and King Kong last year, the 2.25, I lifted 109 kg. So those are my stronger lifts. Pinch, Saxon bar, 3" by 4". I've done 115 in competition. And then grippers. Grippers are my relative weakness. So I'm still okay, but my best I've ever gotten in contest is an RGC rating of 162 pounds. So like I guess a hard number 3. From a 20 millimeter block set. I can't do a credit card close of a number 3, and I don't like grippers enough that I don't think I'll ever train to be able to do that. But so yeah, grippers are my in Gripsport. That's my weaker category.
Really good. Those are really good numbers, Eric.
Thanks.
Well, I want to emphasize how did you discover Gripsport? You told me in the beginning that you came into it, but was someone or was in the internet? How did you discover it?
So when I first got into arm wrestling was also right when I was first discovering the internet. And one of the first products that I saw advertised like on an arm wrestling site for training were the Captains of Crush grippers. So in 1996, I think I ordered a number 1 and a number 2. They didn't have the 0.5s back then. And anyway, so, and I didn't know anything about really training, but I could close the number 1 for a few reps, but I could not close the number 2 at that time. So that was my first initial discovery of grip implements. A few years later, and I started buying different pieces of equipment for training for arm wrestling. So I bought a Rolling Thunder soon after I bought the pinch block. I bought a few of the Iron Mine equipment. And then I discovered the grip board probably around 2001. And then I discovered that in those early 2000s that there were starting to be some grip contests. And I found it interesting, but I didn't really pursue it. And then I guess, I don't know what happened. A few years later, 2007, I was hosting and organizing a lot of arm wrestling tournaments. And then I said, why not? I'll have a grip challenge at the end. So I brought some of my equipment. And 2007 is when I started organizing a few grip challenges after arm wrestling tournaments. And then as of 2011, then I really got into, I was hosting the Canadian Arm Wrestling Championships in 2011. And I decided I'll have a big grip medley. And I called Jed Johnson up and I asked, you want to come and run this for me? Because it's my first time doing a medley. I'd like your help. And he drove up and had about 20 arm wrestlers compete. And I won the medley, so I was really excited, and that's really good. I was sort of at that point I knew I wanted, because my first few grip contests that I organized, I didn't compete because I thought it would be unfair because I have the equipment and none of them know what they're doing. But eventually, I'm like, no one else here is organizing contests, so if I'm going to compete, I'll compete in my contest because otherwise I won't get a chance. So, and then 2011 is really when I got deeper into it, and I've been I kept arm wrestling and grip going until the pandemic. In the pandemic, I didn't do any arm wrestling at all. And I lost a lot of strength, arm wrestling strength. I lost a lot. So I competed in 3 or 4 arm wrestling tournaments last year, but it was hard on the ego because I was losing matches against people that I previously beat. And and my elbows, after years and years of arm wrestling, I was having to have elbow issues. I'm like, so now I'm just doing grip. Grip, I don't get the aches and pains of like elbow stuff. So so this year has only been grip. Arm wrestling, I won't say I'm officially retired. I'm thinking I might do some tournaments next year, but grip is really my focus now.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I really like it. So you were telling me the first grip tool the first that you tried was the grippers, and after the grippers, which was the first device that you
I, I,
touch with your hands?
I think it was probably the Rolling Thunder. And I was always good at the Rolling Thunder from the start. I think because in arm wrestling, it's all about containment. You don't need to squeeze hard in arm wrestling, but you need to be able to control the hand. So I think I got very strong, sort of like that. Not squishing, just holding. So I think the first time I touched the Rolling Thunder, I was already doing probably 82, 83 kilos, which,
Whoa,
uh, so
a lot.
and my friends couldn't do, they did much less. So I figured I'm probably good at these types of lifts. Um, and then I remembered I heard about the inch dumbbell replica, and I wanted to try it. So I eventually ordered one in 2010, and I still wasn't too active on the grip board, but I was just getting into the grip board. And I remember the day I got it, I brought it home and I lifted it easily right hand. Left hand I couldn't
Whoa.
get quite, but I wrote that I did it, and my post was deleted right away. And it was like, you cannot say that you did something without video proof because this is like an elite lift. So then a few days later, I just filmed myself doing it. I think I hold it for 20 seconds. So then they allowed it.
They believe that now they
Yeah.
believe. Perfect.
Yeah. So
I
yeah, I
really
said
like
Rolling
it.
Thunder, grippers, then Rolling Thunder. Another one that I bought early on that I really like is the Iron Mine Titans telegraph key. The one with the, I just like its grip is so, there's so many isometric, grip is very isometric, and that one's one of the few dynamic pinch exercise devices that I just really like the feeling. So I've used that pretty much throughout my arm wrestling and grip career. I like that as a, sometimes just for warm-ups, but I've always liked that piece of equipment.
Perfect. And when did you try like your first pinch? Was like the Euro pinch or another device? How was it?
I think initially I was just training with like a 2x4, a piece of wood,
Okay.
because I didn't have a Euro and I didn't have a Saxon, I didn't have any of that, and I was pretty good on that 2x4. And then I can't remember what I, I can't remember what I first bought, but I remember my pinch was decent. Um, I went to a contest that Adam Glass organized in 2012. That was my first sort of American contest, and it was
Okay.
my first time touching the Euro. And I think I got about 95 kg, and I was very happy because I never touched it, and I think that was a decent lift. So I think that's what I got on my first time touching the Euro.
Really good.
Yeah.
Eric, and do you are you like the pioneer of Canada in grip sport? Are you the first to organize events to develop the sports, right?
I consider myself. There have been a couple of grip challenges before me, but more just like a demonstration. So I think I'm the first one to really start organizing. I started organizing contests regularly, and eventually I created the website called Canada Gripsport. And that's not really an organization. It's just me trying to spread the word of grip. And anyone who wants to do a contest in Canada, like I'll help them out, and I'll publish their results and I'll promote their contest. So yeah, I consider myself sort of the person who really started getting going, at least on a regular basis in Canada.
Excellent. Well, let's talk about your training. What's your current workout split? Speaking about could be grip, arm wrestling movements, and general physical preparation.
Right. So I train grip almost every day, some aspect of grip. So and I divide it by type of lift. So I'll have like a thick bar training session. The next day I'll have a pinch. The next day I might do grippers. The next day I might do vertical lifts. So every type of sort of grip dimension, grip aspect is, I have a different workout for it. And usually I'll also do during the same session, if I might do thick bar, that I'll probably do um, arms and, arm. The rest of my body is more general bodybuilding type movements. But that's basically, I won't return to the same exercises before either 6 or 7 days. So I'll do thick bar, and then I'll only come back to thick bar 6 or 7 days later. and I don't vary my workouts too much. It's always sort of the same way I train. If I'm doing thick bar, I'll probably do 3 exercises, and it'll be completely dependent on what the next contest is. So if Ironman axle is in the next contest, I'll be doing axle. I'll probably be doing 2.25 inch crusher because that's going to be in King Kong again this year. And I might do a few lifts with the inch dumbbell. And I sort of my first set will be a weight that's very easy. I can do 10 or 15 reps easily, and I'll just up the weight every set and do a few less reps, so that my last set, which is maybe set number 6, it's a weight I'll only be able to do 2 or 3 times. And I don't even do most grip stuff. I don't even do full lifts. I only do sort of mini lifts. I get it off the ground, just an inch or two, and I put it down. So they're sort of like, I don't know. I feel like if I can get it off the ground at all, then on contest day, I'll be able to get it all the way up because I'll be rested. And so, and I don't try to 1 rep maxes. I try to stay away from that in training because really, I don't care what I lift except on contest day. That's the only thing. My focus, I don't do very many feats. I don't do my whole goal is I want to do well in grip contests, whether it's arm lifting or grip sport. That's where I want to peak. That's where I want to do well. So I don't do much other. Everything is geared towards those contests.
Yeah. Perfect. I like your philosophy. Really competitive. Yeah. Really focused on performing well on the platform. Really good.
Right.
And I think maybe I missed it, but how do you train the grippers? Do you have like a day for grippers, or do you put like them mixed with thick bar or with something else?
I would definitely do a separate day, but I don't do grippers year round because if there's no contest coming up with grippers, I just don't. A, I'm not that good at. B, it's hard. I find it hard on my hands, so I don't. I'll only train them if I have to. If it's going to be in a contest, I'll train them. And when I do quite a few. I take my time building up to my hard grippers. So I'll start with a trainer and I'll do, 20, 30 mini reps. Then I'll maybe do a 1 and do a few mini reps, 1.5, 2, 2.5. So I do quite a bit of warming up with a lot of time between sets. And then I'll do several hard singles, maybe that I probably won't get all the way, but I'll squeeze it as hard as I can, then put the gripper down, wait 3 or 4 minutes, try it again, and then if after the 4th or 5th I realize it's getting worse, that's probably when I stop. I might do a few more reps on a light gripper, but I would not consider myself an expert in training grippers. But yeah, if I do grippers, it's sort of its own day, just grippers. I'm not going to do anything else that grip related that day.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Let's talk about your goals for 2023, Eric. Which are your Gripsport goals for this year?
So basically, I want to try to win every contest I enter in my weight class. So so far it's been going pretty good this year. Next Saturday I'll be in Calgary at a contest, the first arm lifting Canada contest in Calgary. I hope to do well there. I hope to do well in the arm lifting super series. So I'll be competing in stage 2 in August. I'm going to be going to Heavy Hands in Virginia for a great contest there, and King Kong, of course, October, and then the World Arm Lifting in Orlando. So I'm hoping to win all of those. Whether I do, I don't know, but I've been very fortunate. The last years I've had a lot of success. So that's what I'm hoping. But no arm wrestling goals. It's all grip this year.
Perfect. And in the long term, what would you like to achieve in Gripsport? Would you like, would you like to be like holding a really huge record in axle or a really huge record in something or any feat? What would you like to achieve in the long term?
I'm not too, not as motivated about feats or even world records. I just try to win as many titles as I want. Like me, it's really competition wins. That's what I like to try to accumulate and win. So The more of the big contests that I win, that's what makes me. That's what really motivates me. I mean, I've held world records in weight class world records in a lot of different lifts, but they come and go. And I guess it would be cool if you could hold on to a world record for many years. That would be fun, but it's that's not my main. That's not my main objective.
Perfect. I remember I have seen, well, I follow you for many years since I started in Gripsport, and I saw that you have a gym, like when you upload your videos, and
Right.
it has many like medals and
All right.
trophies. So the goal is to have more trophies and more.
Well, it's not necessarily the trophies, but it's the I like the list of I don't know when you're in your life you want to sort of accomplish as much as you can, and I like doing well in arm wrestling. I like doing well in grip. I guess it doesn't really matter what. I'm a competitive person, and I like if it's something I like and I'm good at. That's gives me a lot of motivation. So, yeah. But eventually, the more you compete, the more awards you're going to win. So it's not representative. Somebody who has a lot of awards doesn't mean that they're the best, right? So, some of the best
Sure.
people in the world, like Devin Larratt in arm wrestling, he doesn't keep any of his trophies, but he could have several hundred of them, right? But he doesn't care. But I always like it as I don't know. I like when I look at trophies or medals. Often I remember where I won, and usually it brings back good memories. So that's what I like is the association.
Perfect. Eric, I know that at least in arm wrestling, you are an historian. You keep track and you know a lot of definitions. So, in Gripsport, I want to hear it from you because you're a really wise athlete. What's the difference between arm lifting and Gripsport?
So we're talking about the sport of grip is together the sport of grip. Arm lifting was the term was invented in 2010 in Russia because they contacted Iron Minds and we want to start having grip contests with your equipment. They called it arm lifting, and I think that's something that's lost in translation because to me it's a weird English name, but it's probably something that when it translated from Russia, I don't know. So to me, the word seems weird, but initially it was very much focused on Iron Mind equipment. It has moved away from that. Now it's sort of, they opened it up. There's a lot more different events now. The main difference I think that everyone knows is there are no lifts to a crossbar in arm lifting. So arm lifting, it's all deadlifts to lockout, whereas grip sport, the norm, not every event, like there are exceptions, Saxon bar and axle, but most of the other lifts are to a crossbar. That's the main difference. Arm lifting is more an organization like Arm Lifting USA. They lead all the arm lifting contests. Grip sport is sort of I guess grip sport is more of a hodgepodge, and it's less one organization. It's more a lot of different promoters sort of working together, I guess. But it's all the same thing. It's all grip, right? So historically, arm lifting used to be very centered on thick bar, but I think they're moving away. The events are getting a bit more varied now. So that's, I think, one of the criticisms that the events were not always as well balanced, but I think it's getting better. But that's the, whether it's arm lifting or grip sport, it's all the sport of grip to me. So most people compete in both anyway. So, yeah.
Perfect. And tell me about, I heard that there's arm lifting Canada. It's 100% like arm lifting focused, or it captures all the grip sport activity as well?
This is very, very new. Arm lifting Canada is started in Alberta or Saskatchewan, and they're just having their first contest. So this is all through. It was through working with Arm Lifting USA. They're looking for someone to get a foothold in Canada, and they're like, "Oh, we'll do Arm Lifting Canada," but it's really brand new, and I don't know too much about it. So it's going to be it's going to focus on the arm lifting lifts that are tracked by Arm Lifting USA. So those I think are going to be the main implements. But I don't know. I don't know too much yet.
I thought you were like the founder of that new organization.
No, it's not me.
That's first thing came into my mind.
I'm trying to stay away from formal involvement in organizations. Like I used to be part of the Gripsport International Board. I'm no longer, but I do a lot of help. Like I do all the entering the results in the database, and I communicate with Jed and the other people who make decisions. I communicate with Ricardo. So I'm sort of a consultant, I guess, but I'm not officially part of work for Armlifting USA or Armlifting Canada or GSI. I'm more just a helper who wants to promote grip in general. I want to promote all the grip contests. So I just don't want the official. I just don't want the official. I prefer to be independent because then I sort of do whatever I want and I don't have to. Yeah.
Yeah. Sounds like you can enjoy more. Like, I mean, organizing events, it's really cool, and be part of having like a position must be good as well. But there's time for everything,
Right.
I guess. Eric, tell me about the King Kong Grip Challenge. I want to know the origins, a bit of history, and the goals of the organization.
So it's not an organization; it's just an annual contest. That's all it is.
Okay.
So in 2013, I was having a conversation with Andrew Pankey, who's an American competitor. He eventually bought FBBC. I don't think he owned it at the time, but we were like, because at that time they had the World's Strongest Hands, which was David Horn. It was a multi-venue international contest. So these contests existed before King Kong. And our initial interest was wanting to sort of feature events that were not often contested. It was like, we like the multi-venue international thing, but we want to focus on events that don't get very much attention, just for fun. And then, so I reached out to a lot of different promoters and contacts, and then we got a lot of people who just, yeah, let's do it. And, it's grown because I think of the consistencies that we've had it every year. Even through the pandemic, we were able to do it, and it just keeps growing. It's not always an increase every single year, but the first year we had 70 something entries, and now I think our best year we had 270. And I keep looking forward to the year we break 300 because I think it's quite possible. But it's a contest that, I think a lot of people see that as a world championship in grid. It's not officially a world championship, but it is the biggest, right? You get some classes have 40 or 50 people. So if you want to see where you are in comparison with the other people around the world, that's a great contest because we do have a lot of different countries. Most of the top competitors compete. So if you do well in King Kong, you know that you're doing well in the sport. So I hope to keep doing that for many years. I really enjoy organizing that, and it's that's sort of my baby, and I want to keep it going for as long as possible.
Really good. And which were the original disciplines of the first King Kong?
I couldn't even tell you. I'd have to go online and check it out. I think one of the year, it may have been the first year or the second year, we did like a one-hand axle deadlift, but they're just too hard to judge. Too many, like there's some things looking back that I think we're trying to make it now, especially because it is a multi-venue contest, right? So you need something that's really easy to judge. The rules are clear. And also because it's around the world, we want to choose pieces of equipment that aren't too heavy, aren't too expensive, because people have to order them and get them shipped around the world, and that's a big challenge, right? So there's a lot of considerations, and we don't want to change the events every year because then it gets too expensive for the promoters. So we try to only change one, maybe two disciplines every year, and we want a balanced contest. We want to make sure that it's not too much thick bar, or not too much pinch, or so there's a lot of things that we have to consider every year when we organize that.
Yeah, I have seen the last. I think I've been following King Kong since 2018.
Okay.
And there's always like a thick bar, a pinch, a V bar, and I remember when you started including the finish ball. I found it really interesting. Right. Why did you include the finish ball in the King Kong?
You're right. Those are the three general ones. Generally a thick bar, generally a pinch, generally a vertical bar, and then something else. The finish ball was, well, the our European, the people who aren't in North America, like we always got to order from North America. So finish ball was something that was in Europe, and it was small, and it was sort of it had been contested many times, and they liked it. They thought it went well. So eventually we gave it a try, and it is a simple event. It's not too expensive, so it met our criteria. And key pinch was just rising popularity, so we decided to have to use it. It was, and we've used it a few times, and I think it's one of the events this year again. So no one ever likes all the events in King Kong, but everyone has different preferences, right? So we try to switch something up every
year. Yeah, and I have seen that the crusher is like a staple on the King Kong. It's like there to stay, as I have seen.
Yeah, we changed a few times. Like it used to be 2.5. Yep. Now 2.25 seems to be a pretty good compromise, because some people when it gets above 2.5, people who don't have very long fingers, it's a big challenge. So obviously a thick bar will always favor somebody with a long hand, but yeah, I think that's probably going to stay for a while. Another reason is, especially the more expensive piece of equipment, we don't want to change them every year, because if somebody spends $200 to get it, we'd rather keep it in the contest a few years, so.
Yeah, that's what I thought, because it's a bit smaller. It's going to be better for smaller handed people.
Right.
Really good. And Eric, for the future of King Kong, which countries would you like to reach? Like, I don't know, Asia or China, I don't know.
No,
what would you like to?
All of them. I look forward to the days where I can see it. It's possible that, who knows, in a few years' time, wouldn't it be great to have 1,000 people in a multi-venue contest around the world? Then you can really, if you do well, the more people who participate around the world, the more it does a good job of identifying the true top competitors, right? So
yeah,
I don't have a preference as to which countries. Just anyone who hears that, it's very easy to get to be involved. I can send you the promoter package and what it means and what you need to do. But really, I take care of a lot of the stuff, right? So I mean, you guys have to run the venue, and you do have to purchase the equipment, and there's some small fees that you have to pay. But all of the awards, I take care of shipping those around the world, buying them, and we do all the number crunching. So it's if you have interest in just learning about what's involved, please get in touch with me.
Yes, I remember we had like a chat on email on 2019. I don't remember, but I think this is my year, Eric. Okay. My year to promote. So I will reach you after the interview. Cool. Speaking about the awards of King Kong, I have a couple of questions from the audience. I am sure you know Joseph Hodgson.
Yes.
From Australia.
Yes.
He wants to know why the move away from those awesome gorilla trophies. He means the trophies for each weight class. Yeah. I understand, according to you, that it's just for the King Kong and the Queen Kong, right?
And plus the pound for pound, man and pound for woman. Yeah, the simple reason is those things are incredibly expensive to buy, to ship. They sometimes get lost. They sometimes break. So to be honest, I've lost money most years doing King Kong. I just love it, so I don't mind, right? But it's like one of those gorillas, especially to ship it, to buy it, ship it, get it around the world. It comes down to, some of them are $500. So it's too much of a gamble, especially when things get lost in the mail and stuff like that. So I'm like, okay, I'm tired of losing money. I agree. They're the best awards in grip. I've shipped a few to Australia. And so now, I'm not saying they're gone for good, but the medals that I got this year, they really are nice. They're huge. They're the best medals I've ever given out. And they're just much less expensive to ship, and they won't break. And so it's a lot less stress for me, a lot less work. I still think they're beautiful. Like I said, we're still giving out those big sculptures to the overall king and queen of grip and the pound for pound. And who knows, maybe if we get to the point where we're getting hundreds and hundreds of competitors, and then it becomes a bit more financially viable. But right now, I'm just tired of all the work and the expense, and that's all it is. Yeah.
Perfect. There's a second question from Joe. He wants to know, why are you not active on Instagram?
Just because, I mean, I guess Facebook is where I visit regularly, and I visit stuff on YouTube. I don't film myself or take many pictures of training, so I don't have that much to contribute. And I don't know, I'm more into the communicating aspect of that I feel I'm getting through other sources, and I do get addicted. I feel I spend way too much time on these sites anyway, so I just didn't want another site to to start looking at. And I know Instagram is way more popular now, but it's just that I'm just trying to limit where I'm involved. Yeah.
Perfect. There's another gripster from Australia. I still don't know his name, but his Instagram is pinch by pinch.
Yeah.
He wants to know, I mean, it's going to be based on your past knowledge because you are no longer part of the board of GSI,
Right.
as you told me. But he wants to know, can you talk a bit about GSI governance and how it operates?
I can tell you that when I left, there was very few people. I think the only people who are officially in the governance is Jed Johnson and Brian Hunsaker out of Utah. That's they're pretty much running the show. I don't think there's much more officially governance, and I do all the data entry just because I'm happy to do it. But it's very so there's not much governance per se, but it's extremely easy to put on a contest that's sanctioned by GSI. It's very cheap. You don't need there's no annual member fees. I think there's a flat sanctioning fee. I think it's $25. And they just want to make sure that the events you're using you're using the rules that are typically contested for that event, so that when we get the results, we can enter them in the database. So that you're using the same height and that you're following the same rules. But as far as I know, officially, it's only Jed Johnson and Brian Hunsaker.
So Brian is still active into like Gripsport and stuff?
I don't know how active he is in Gripsport. I do know he's still involved in GSI, but I don't know where things are at. I haven't personally chatted with him in a few years now, so I'm not exactly sure.
Okay. Yeah, he was a notorious athlete back in the day. I saw many of his posts, and it was a real great source of motivation and inspiration. He's really strong.
Yeah.
He lifted the genies.
Yeah.
He certified the number 3 as well. Really good athlete.
And he's just a number. He's a huge guy. I think he's 2 meters. He's over 2 meters. He's a big guy. Yeah.
And there is another question from a really notorious athlete these days, Ben Helms. He wants to know, what numbers are you expecting to pull at heavy hands? Also, he's super excited to meet you and compete with you.
Yeah, no, that's one of the reasons I want to go to that contest, because I saw who was going to be there, and I know it's going to be a tough contest. So, and the events do line up well with my strengths, but I can tell you which numbers I'd like to hit. So the first event is the 2-inch napalm one hand lift. I don't have that handled yet, but if it's comparable to other things, I'd like to get somewhere in the 240s, so a little over 110 kg. I think should be possible. On Andrew's axle, I'd like to get around somewhere in the 370s, because I've done that before in a contest, so I think that's possible. On the Saxon, I'd like to get in the about 115 kilo, so in the mid 250s, I think is possible. And Little Bighorn, if I have a good day, I think I get in the 230s. Sorry, I'm switching kilos and pounds, but basically these are all numbers I've hit range before. I'm a little lighter these days, so I don't know, and I generally don't lift as much when I'm 90 as I do when I'm like 95. So if I get those numbers, I'll be very happy.
Perfect. There's a comment from Seth Rebel. Hello, Seth. I know he's from Canada as well. I'm cutting weight to avoid Ben. For sure, Ben is a monster these days.
Yeah, that's Zach Ebel. He's my training partner. We train together every week. So he's only been in grip a year and a half now, and he's already one of the top competitors in Canada. Yeah,
I follow him. I seen that he did the crush to dust recently.
Yes,
really strong.
Yes. It was great. He did it fairly easily.
I'm going to go back to the comments. I haven't seen them yet because I was really having a lot of fun. There's a comment from Bruno21
Yes.
SDPO. Hello, Eric and Pancho. Hola, Bruno. ¿Cómo estás tú? Saludos. Bruno is the pioneer of Gripsport here in Chile.
Yes.
Arm lifting Chile is, I mean, he's like the founder of Arm Lifting Chile.
Yes, he was. I was lucky enough to host him, or he came. Sorry, he didn't host him, but he came to Ottawa in August last year. So I spent a few days with him. So it was a lot of fun.
Nice. I saw Chad Kovac, really nice. And let me check if I miss anyone else. No, that's pretty much it. Well, going to the final questions, Eric. Where do you see Gripsport in 10 years' time? The future of the sport.
As more people. So right now, I think we just need more contests. We need more people organizing contests. And I know it can be hard to start, but really, if you have an interest in grip, you want to host a contest, you just need 2 people for your first contest. If you got 2 people, you got a contest, and the more people hear about it. I've had a lot of success recently. I held the Canadian Nationals at a climbing gym, so it exposes the sport to people who are probably good, right? Climbers have very strong hands, so a lot of them have touched the equipment and have gotten into grip. So the more contests there are, the more people will be exposed to it, the more people will try it out. And a lot of the people who try it out end up liking it. So I think it will keep growing, but we need more and more people who want to take the time to organize contests. So in Canada, we don't have that many active promoters. I do more than all the contests in Canada I do in Ottawa. So in Saskatchewan, we're starting to for the past few years now. So we have Brad Provic, the main guy organizing contests, and also Scott Piersack, who's arm lifting Canada. But we just don't. And in the U.S., there's probably a handful of competitive organizers, but we need more. And Ricardo's doing a lot as well for arm. He calls a lot of people and gets people to try to organize contests. So he's doing a lot to try to grow the sport. But that's the more promoters we get, the more contests we get, the more people will get in the sport. So I'd like to think that in 10 years from now, the sport will be at least twice as big, but I don't know. We'll have to see.
We'll have to work for it.
Absolutely.
I mean to promote more contests, and that's what this project is about. Gripsport Latino, to spread Gripsport in Latin America. Right. And there's a lot of people interested here. So we are going to double our numbers.
Right. Excellent.
And during the years, Eric, which have been like your strategies to develop the sport in Canada? Like a part of the contest, how do you reach new people, new potential athletes?
So I've been very much trying to go where I know people who have strong hands. So I like I said, I first started doing contest challenges at arm wrestling tournaments because I know there's a lot of strong guys there, strong hands. They're probably going to like the grip stuff. I've done it with climbing gyms, strongman, recruiting from strong. So we have group power lifters. These are all people who are into strength sports, and that's I think that people should be targeting. So go where they are and demonstrate, and that's sort of what I think has worked. And aside from that, I just try to spread information. So that's why I created the website sort of as a central spot. You can see all the results of any Canadian contest. You'll see the Canadian records, and then anyone who wants to organize a contest in Canada, get in touch with me. I'll be able to help answer any questions. So, but generally, I sort of seek out the people who are already into strength sports where hand strength is a component. So it's slow, but I think that's I said double in 10 years. Maybe we should do more than that, because I'm pretty sure we've more than doubled in the past 10 years. So maybe maybe we'll be 5 times as big next in 10 years. I don't know. It'll be fun to see.
Perfect. And Eric, the last words belong to you. Which message would you like to the audience to take away from this lovely interview? Like for the new people, the people that just have met you and just knew who you are, what would you like to share?
I would say that if you have any interest at all in competing, or think you might like it, or think you'd like to try, please do it. It's such a young sport, and there's so many different events that it's very easy to get on leaderboards or rankings. Or if you want to see it, a lot of people say, wow, I'm among the 10 best people who have lifted on this particular device. I know we're not millions of people, but it is a source of motivation. And people oh, wow, like a lot of the people I train in Canada, they want to see their name on the Canadian records list on, something. So there's still not millions of people doing this. So it's a good time to get in, because it's very motivating. That's what I'm saying, is that you can improve your own lifts, and then you can see how you compare. And it's not impossible to get on these leaderboards and see your rankings. So I think, for a lot of people, that's a source of motivation, being able to see their names and how their results compare. And I have a 15-year-old who just got into the sport from climbing, and he's already among the top 10 in North America, in my opinion, in his weight class. So that's a huge source of motivation, and his parents are really, really happy for him. And so, yeah, if you have any interest in competing, please do so. You'll have a lot of fun. I haven't heard of anyone really having a bad experience at a grip contest. So it's very good atmosphere. People are just so excited to meet other people who like the same type of thing. That very niche sport, right? Not many people know about grip. So when you find other people who like it and are interested, it's a lot of fun.
Perfect. Hey Eric, I want to thank you for your time and thank you for this interview. It was a lot of fun, and we acquired much more knowledge from you. It was such a pleasure to have you here, and I hope we can meet soon, either in a contest, because I plan to go to Canada someday, or in another interview. And of course, I want to promote contests, so you will hear from me soon.
Excellent.
You will hear from me.
And you don't have to just do King Kong. You can do a lot of contests. The more contests, the better. They don't have to be too. It's not. You'll see. Have you organized a contest yet?
Not. I have done many get-togethers, but it has not been like the last man standing or that rules. But we use a crossbar. Of course.
As soon as you do 1 or 2 or 3, they get easier and easier, right? So, yeah, I think I would encourage you, don't wait too long, because it's a lot of fun.
I won't, and I take your advice. Oh, hey Bruno, he says excellent interview. Good to see you, Bruno. Well, thanks everyone for the time, and thank you, Eric, again.
Thank you.
We will see you soon.
All right.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.